In order to rewrite the future, we need to create it. That was a quote by Abraham Lincoln. But a creator's creation is a manifestation of his identity. Now, what is identity? In Hebrew, the word for identity is zehut. It means thisness. Thisness, very simple. According to the Oxford Dictionary, the definition of identity is the fact of being what or who a thing or a person is. Good morning, everyone. My name is Selma Kamanya. I am Miss World Namibia 2025. I am Miss Namibia 2018. I have a bachelor's degree in economics. I have a certificate in big data technology. I have a real estate license. I'm a law school dropout. I had 1 year I dropped out. I'm planning on going back very soon. And I have 2 years of theology behind my back. So I'm going to be taking you through identity. On an individual level, I'm going to touch on it a bit, on a societal level, and then I'm going to explain a little bit of it on a national level. So, identity on an individual level. I'm going to paint a picture. There's this young girl, she's about 16 years old. She's in her bedroom. She's scrolling through her laptop, and she's on a website called Tumblr. Who remembers Tumblr? That was back in the day, yeah. It was popping back then. But this young girl was in search of creating a new identity. This young girl was me. I am a biracial woman. My mother is a colored from the Northern Cape of South Africa. My father is Inoshivambo, a tribe native to Namibia. Whenever I was with my mom's side of the family, the coloreds, I always felt very black. And whenever I was with my father's side, my skin tone was always pointed out as a marker of division. And so I never truly felt like I fit in. In addition to that, throughout my school journey and career, I was severely bullied, both verbally and physically. And so I didn't find or have a soft place to land in the world. And in 2012, I was 16 years old, on my laptop, scrolling, looking for inspiration to build the remnants of my broken pieces. And so I made a list. The only chant that I hear constantly in my head is, I remember saying to myself, I will not allow anyone to treat me this way anymore. And I had the opportunity to have a fresh start because the next year I was transferring to a new school. So this was my moment for reinvention. My list consisted of myself becoming an academic. I wanted 2 to 3 degrees. I wanted a master's degree and subsequently acquire my PhD. I also wanted to be a multi-billionaire. I wanted to be the CEO of a successful venture capital firm with roots all around the world. I wanted to retire by the age of 35, and I wanted to buy my own private island and retire there with my partner and my daughter. Hey, dream big, right? So these were the dreams that I had written down, a hope for a brighter tomorrow for myself. And so my plans were in motion. In 2018, at 21 years old, I became Miss Namibia 2018. And I was like, this is my ticket. It's working. Subsequently, 3 years later, 3 to 4 years later, I was 25 years old. This is the year 2022. I had given up my crown, and I had been in search of rebuilding who I knew myself to be. At 25 years old, I had registered 2 businesses. I had my foundation. The 2 businesses that I had registered were in operation for 2 to 3 years at that time, had not rendered 1 single paycheck in my bank account. And I was doing all the right things. I was working hard, sleeping late, waking up early, nothing seemed to work. I tried everything in every sphere. I even tried entrepreneurship. And at that point in time, I'd been running my foundation for a few years. At 25, my foundation's bank account had run dry, and I wasn't able to carry out the social projects that I was really passionate about. And at 25 years old, I felt like a failure. This new list, this new identity predicated on becoming a successful individual was no longer working. And I didn't understand why. I went through an existential identity crisis. I deemed myself less than because I wasn't able to impact life in the way that I wanted. I felt like life was happening to me. I wasn't happening to life. And so I realized that there was a flaw, a major problem in the list that I had created for myself. I realized that I had predicated my internal value on external success. And I realized that this is not just a me problem. I realized many people in society also carry this philosophy. I will be worth respect or worth something if I'm able to achieve something or acquire something. And therefore, our values become predicated on materialism. And the problem with predicating your value on materialism is that you start to develop this insatiable desire for acquisition. And me looking at that list, I knew even if I was to achieve everything on this list, I would still not be happy because I did not know who I was. I didn't have a concept of what my identity was and what my role was in this world. And I think that we can relate this to a lot of societal ills today. All of the rots that are happening in our country, all of the social injustice, the corruption. I think that it is derived from people that don't necessarily know who they are. People that want to fill this gap, this insatiable desire with things, with titles, with social status, with a figure in their bank accounts. So I think it's fair to say that we all, at a certain point in our lives, come to the point where we have an identity crisis. But I'm hopeful. I have been researching on a national level what it might look like if a nation discovered its identity. And I came across a country, which I'm going to be using as a case study, Guyana. Guyana is a small country in the Caribbean. It has about 800,000 inhabitants. Now, Guyana has been able to achieve something that most developed countries have not been able to achieve. And this would be to become completely food self-sufficient. And what this means is that Guyana produces enough agricultural produce to feed not only the inhabitants of its nation, but also export to other countries. And this is in all 7 of the food groups: fruits, vegetables, dairy, poultry, etc. This is incredible and very impressive for a country of only 800,000 people. But how did they do this? So the government of Guyana was very intentional and very strategic when it came to the growing of the agricultural sector. But the most important lesson for me and the most inspiring thing about the story for me is Guyana's story is not one about agricultural success. It's a manifestation of a nation's identity. See, Guyana knew that its strength didn't rely on mirroring other systems. It relied in researching about what was in its own land, its own soil, its own people, its own potential. See, a lot of developing countries, they imitate foreign systems and they use that as a measure of success or progress. But Guyana chose to look inward. They invested in its own resources, in its own people, and most importantly, they invested in its own knowledge of its indigenous land. And so this was a testament to me that when a country knows who it is, it knows what to build. Guyana found its identity, and it's thriving because of it. And so I'd like to say that identity is the new gold, right? I believe that identity is a currency. And so at 25 years old, when I found myself at a point of depression because I hadn't achieved yet what I had set out for myself to achieve, I went on a journey of self-rediscovery, and I came across 4 things. Number 1, I had to accept myself before I expected the world to accept me. Number 2, active definition. You have to have an active definition of self. There's a saying that says, if you go to the world and you don't know who you are, the world will tell you. Number 3, security. I had to find security within myself and be okay with that. Number 4, purpose. The most important questions in a human being's life when it comes to existentiality is, who am I? And what am I here to do? And if we answer those two things, we're this much closer to finding our identity. And so I want to urge and encourage every young person here today. Take up the plight of going on a journey to discover your identity. Your identity is gold. It carries currency because it's authentic. And the only thing AI can't do is replicate authenticity. It's not creative, right? You have to feed it. But a human being, multiple outcomes, countless outcomes. And so I want to encourage you guys sitting here today. I could be speaking to the next Nikola Tesla, Thomas Edison's, the next Elon Musk's in the room. I urge you to go on a journey of self-discovery. I urge you to, again, take up the plight of discovering that spark that our Creator has placed on the inside of you. The world needs it. The world needs your gifts. Namibia needs your gifts. And in doing so, I realized that I didn't need titles to validate me. When I discovered who it is that I was, I discovered a few things that I liked about myself. Number one, I love helping people. I love being in service, and I love being a public servant. I love positively contributing to any space that I find myself in. Number two, I like fashion. I like to look good. I mean, I like to model. And so when I was 27 years old, the opportunity came to me to become Miss World Namibia 2025. And I didn't have to audition per se. I didn't have to try out for it. I was nominated. I had a little interview, and they decided that I was the candidate to represent Namibia on the international stage for a second time. But this time around, having learned what I had learned and knowing what I knew then, I knew that I was not going to allow a title to define me again. And like I mentioned to you before, I already liked these things, but now this title, it kind of like comes with the territory, right? And so I was able to live out my mission of being in service with the title. But I knew, once again, that it does not define me this time around. And I encourage every young person, do not idolize titles, do not idolize status, do not idolize wealth. That's not where the real gold lies. And so this title, I carry it for 1 year. But after that 1 year is finished, a new title holder comes along, right? A new office is occupied by a new girl. And so I know that I can't place my worth in this title, but that's okay, because I found my worth within myself. A title is a vehicle to carry out your mission. Don't confuse the two. My name is Selma Kamanya. Thank you so much.